Good evening, all in one for part 23 of Christian. 1 second. Of Christian, a comprehensive documentary, part 23. Let's just try and again. The problems I mentioned last week are sort of like they're still persistent in me, even when I was thinking about just getting on with it. So I don't have time to exactly go over the problems I was having when watching part 22 last night, so let's just get started with part 23, and maybe I'll feel less contempt towards Chris than I did before. But let's just get started, shall we? So, on this great... I need to put that off for a second. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen, because this Sunday evening, we're going to continue with part 23. So, if you guys want to check out the original video for yourselves, links will all be in the description down below. Let's begin. Part 23 in 3, 2, 1, and...
What made him this way? What is the attraction? What keeps us fascinated? This is the story of Chris Chan. On January 14th, 2010, Christian filmed a video in which he sings his own lyrics over a remix by musician Moby of the song Mr. Plow, written for an episode of the cartoon series The Simpsons.
Say, what's the name? Christian Chandler. What's that name? Christian Chandler. What's the name? Christian Chandler. C-H-R-I-S-C-H-A-N. Say, what's the name? Christian Chandler. You don't need to worry, I'm drawing here. Drawing in color, my pen and marker. My papa was chicken and named me Christian Chandler. Afternoon before the sunrise, I have a new page for you. Open your eyes. The new plots are a big surprise. The hand-drawn art is quality, and that's no lie.
He then attempts to play a harmonica. A day later, he made a brief video for the attention of Jack Thaddeus, Alec Benson Leary, Sean...
Why am I only hearing that he had a harmonica for the very first time? Watch. I can freaking do a solo. Ready? Okay, that's the end of SpongeBob jokes here. I managed to get in at least one.
August Watley, creator of the comic Sonichu is Dead and regular contributor to the Asperpedia, and the webmaster for the aforementioned website, Mao Bamboo Ling.
This message is for Alec, Sean, Evan, and even Mao.
Oh no, the
You know what?
Asperpedia 4.
I dare you four, all four of you, to come to my house and we'll see who stacks out better. The original, or you crappy copiers?
On the 16th, Christian filmed a video attempting to brainwash his trolls by speaking a mix of Spanish and backwards English.
As usual, I will have 2 more pages tonight. I hope you all enjoyed the last page where Crystal finally got out of the mirror. But recently, I am reminded of an old Spanish expression which goes simply as "Tú necesitas ukrepsa eta y usino se va per ganar felicidad por vida."
No.
A couple of strong verbs in that statement. Say it with me. Ukrepsa eta. Ukrepsa eta. Yeah.
Nah, I prefer the other version. Evonet Niage. Evonet Niage. Evonet Niage. Why do I feel like joining the Navy? Good job, Lieutenant Smash.
Usinos Evil. Usinos Evil. Alright, stay safe and have a good day. Bye.
His spree of verbal assault continued into January 17th, when, under Vivian G's advice, Chris reviews the entirety of the As Per True story so far and criticizes it.
I am here at this point recording this video to make it perfectly clear, although it was a bit of a mistake for that last video I made. But you know what? Regardless of that video, I shouldn't have not have had to make such a video, because I could just show you all the evidence, as I have just read through the entire bunch of pages of Alex As Per True. First off, just to name a few things, there are the obvious sturdy slanders and obvious references, to which I mean the old Buddha belly that I used to have,
You still do, Chris.
exaggerated man boobs,
Not
and
exaggerated.
even the goatee I used to have. I had one time, and he makes his As Per True character wear nearly every shirt I wear, nearly every shirt. And
Well,
a crappy
we say
copy
your
of a
shirts,
medal.
Chris. They're not really.
My shirts. And then to make matters worse, he goes and besmirches my dog by making a crappy copy of my dog.
I know, she looks kind of happy.
The spirit of Patty will have his soul for dinner tonight. She will be haunting your nightmares, Mr. Leary. And of course, even including the unapproved recreation of my person within his pages, as you can see right here. And then even worse, starting on page C29, he sets me
What is that noise it makes whenever we press this on something? Is that something like... I don't know what even that is.
on fire. He sets me on fire. And then even worse, continues, let me be on fire on page 30. I swear, if that ain't the most outrageous thing that he has ever done against me. But I could definitely reference a few more instances of where he actually is considered peeing on himself within his own comic series. Starting, of course, with a few from his first book of graphic nudity or sexual reference on page 3 of his Zero book.
Again, ironically, because Chris would do the exact same thing years later.
Even worse off, on page 10, and while he's in that Burger King, with all his goddamn homosexual references as well. And he uses uncensored swear words such as shit and ass in between all of his books. So many goddamn of those. And his A and B books are anti-religious. That little son of a bitch, he's basically peeing on his own self. Now look, I'll admit I have done my little share of nudity within my few pages, within a couple of pages, but they were censored by either images of lemon for vagina and bananas for dick. And it was and that book was finally finalized and organized so that it'd be appropriate for all those of ages, TVY7 and such. And if I ever said a swear word within my book, I would censor it. But he does not censor his own swear words. But like I said...
Why would he even need to write in swears at all if they're meant to be TVY7? But, never mind.
He's basically gone to the things again. He's basically mocking me with the references of myself. Between the belly, the man boobs, the goatee, the glasses, numerous shirts, a fake medal, where yeah, a copy of my dog, an unapproved recreation of myself and my son and my characters, and even sets me on fire. It makes his quote unquote Sonichu clone go against me as not being the original creator of the original Sonichu. He wishes he knows my Sonichu, Roshu, and all my electric hedgehogs as well as I do.
Well,
but
I
he
don't.
cannot, because he is not me, the original creator. He is not me. So I'd send this message again to Alec, Evan, and even Mao. I have less offense with Sean, by the way, but to those three, die in hell. And I hope the soul of my late dog eats at your souls and kills you in your sleep. But aside from that, his book is the pages within the so-called Aspertu series. They are definitely ludicrous and horrendous and horrific. Even as horrific as within Vivian G's own book. And my pastor, Elizabeth Foss, my pastor has read the book from cover to cover, and she hates it.
Probably more than you did, Chris.
My reverend hates it. And I don't like it either because it is of disgrace and slander and mockery of my person and my character.
Are you going to actually talk about what actually happens in the book, Chris, or are you just going to continue to take your camera for a walk?
Just about as much, but actually this is worse. The Aspertu and everything there, that is worse than that book. I'm sorry, Vivian, but that book is just no good.
Why?
And I'm definitely going to let my pastor know about the Asperpedia and the Aspertu, and to all to her powers within her church and the congregation, and even the FBI. We will see you in Minnesota and take you down personally, Mr. Alec Basin Larry.
We're not intimidated,
Your
Chris.
mockery of my person is not appreciated. Other than that, I leave with most everybody else in peace. Have a good day. Except for you three, of which I mentioned earlier.
Shortly after, Asperpedius Mao made a YouTube response video, but it has since been lost. Meanwhile, the Wikipedia sysop, cogsdev, uploaded Mailbag 41 for Chris to address, but then soon after, moved all non-Asperture related letters to Mailbag 42, making 41 a completely Asperture-filled offering. Instead of responding to the messages in any way, Christian deleted all of them and wrote a 7-point manifesto in their place, proclaiming that he had no relation to Asperture nor Alec Benson Leary, and wholeheartedly disapproved of his content. Chris also noticed that Leary introduced more Sonichu characters into his Asperture comics, such as the Chaotic Combo, which led Christian to insert his own parodies of Sonichu parodies from the Asperture comics into his Sonichu comics, albeit with new names. He even introduced his own take on Asperture, renaming him Mitch Sonichu. On January 20th, Chris made a drawing asking for people to help Haiti after it was devastated by an earthquake 8 days prior, though Alec Benson Leary had made his own commemorative advert a day after the tragedy, which had been featured prominently on the Wikipedia. Christian's drawing also subtly took a jab at Evan Christopher George, since it featured both Simonchu and Simonla, touting them as a brother and sister team. On January 21st, Christian answered Mailbag 43. Chris addressed questions regarding a recent page of issue 10 in which Mitch Sonichu was suggested that he should get a makeover and change his fashion sense for the better when his appearance strongly resembled Christian himself. There was another correspondence with Evan Christopher George, who was told by Chris an elaborate story in which Evan's creation, Simonchu himself, personally spoke with Simone LaRochechu, who told him that she did not want to return to Evan. In addition, the rejected mailbag section featured a statement from someone who criticized Chris for declaring that Alec was not allowed to bring his Sonichu characters into his own story, when Chris himself had never gotten permission from Sega or Nintendo to place their original characters into Sonichu. He also commented that the Wikipedia sysop had no say concerning advertisements, which were crucial in keeping the site running smoothly, and felt that Christian's hand-drawn on paper drawing style was inferior to Alec's digital style. Chris requested that he go f*** himself. In addition, he informed Vivian that he would attend his first young adult social club meeting, where he hoped he would get more exposure concerning his comic book work. It was during this meetup that he met a 23-year-old woman, who will be referred to herein as the Wallflower. During her first encounter with Chris, she told him that she was not ready for a relationship. Despite them establishing a friendship, Christian, against her wishes, believed that after some time and insistence, he could make her into his girlfriend. On January 22nd, Chris had his first phone conversation with Alec Benson Leary.
Hi, is this Christian Weston Chandler?
Yes, this is Christian. May I help you?
Hi, Chris. This is Alec Benson Leary. Is it okay if we talk?
Oh, yes. Sure, yes.
Okay,
So,
good. Well, there's a couple things I wanted to talk to you about tonight. First of all, I understand you've got a problem with the ads that are on Wikipedia.
okay, well, yeah, I'll let you have your ads on the Wikipedia, but don't make them too big, and leave them in the sidebar.
Okay.
I do not want them covering over the introductory box or anything else where I have to scroll down even to edit the pages or even to log in.
Yeah, my friend Mao, he actually makes the ads for me. I didn't make them myself, but I can try to talk to him about that.
Okay, how about this?
Yeah.
Just to make it equal, put an advertisement for the Wikipedia on the Astropedia, about as much as the Astropedia ads for on my Wikipedia.
You'd probably
All right,
want to contact Mao because he's my manager. He does all the the grunt work on Astropedia. I'm sure he'd be willing to sell you some ad space on Astropedia. We could definitely try to work something like that out.
All right, well, Mel and I can talk through email. All right.
Like you say, we're on friendly terms right now, and I'd like to keep it that way because I got my start because of you. But to be honest, I want to be honest and frank with you. You made a couple of videos, and I don't watch all your videos, but I do try to keep up. I mean, I spend a lot of time drawing the comics, so I don't have a lot of time to watch videos anymore. But I saw a couple of videos where you actually threatened me with
okay, well, yeah, okay, well.
Also, the video where you wanted your dog to eat.
Yeah, this is where the law comes to Alex's defense because he's got evidence.
Me or something like that. Your dog to eat my soul. Like the death threats were kind of scary to begin with, but that was just a starting.
Yeah, okay. I'll take that back as well. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Chris then criticizes the creators of Asperchew for featuring blood and gore in their recent stories, and tells Alec to inform his readers in a disclaimer that Chris's Sonichu characters who appear in Asperchew are parodies.
Well, as you said, those weren't yours, though. You said those were copies. You said those were just, copies of...
Yeah, your versions are just recreational,
fascism.
recreated facsimiles.
You're confused. I mean, you said in the comics that those were mine, but so they must be original, right? You said in the comic they weren't the chaotic combo, so they must be original. But then you came and took them. I don't get, and you renamed them, and and not just the combo, but you tried to retake my Asperchew, and Asperchew wasn't a copy of anything. You renamed him Mitch Sonichu. I mean, Asperchew's mine. I don't really appreciate that. You accuse me of thievery, but then you go and try to take my Asperchew.
Okay, well, no, you did take my Sonichu, and claimed him to be the original one. And even worse, you made him brother to Asperchew with the homosexual tendencies and whatnot. Even when you drew the chaotic combo hedgehog, you made Wild a homosexual when he is not.
Well, but that Wild's not yours. I mean, what does it matter if my Wild is gay? I mean, I felt there was depth to the character. I was just trying to give them a little personality.
Okay, well...
I mean, Asperchew is not... Asperchew has a girlfriend, Dixie Chew.
No, actually, I read further in the book, and Dixie Chew dumped his ass.
Well, no, she doesn't mean that.
This is death in the author, as in this is somebody trying to come in and try to murder the author. That's what Chris does this a lot as well. In fact, I'll give you guys just an example. I'm just going to make this very, very quick about what I'm trying to get at. You see, you may remember that Dylan Thomas, who's somebody else who documents Chris and also makes this little webcomic of his own. But here's just something I just kind of like wanted to show you guys. If I could just find it for a second. Unless, of course, he deleted it. It might have been possible. Okay, no, I think here it is. This account limits who can view their tweets. Okay, so basically Chris must be putting this thing on private. But I think actually what we can do instead is go to tweets are protected. Okay, that's fair enough, I guess. So the point was is that Dylan made his own character related to like the Sonic universe and all that, parodies basically. And then Chris got on Dylan's case saying that, I'm glad you started documenting this person. She was really mean, but this means that I've got a bigger chip on my shoulder now because of you. Thank you so much. Interjecting literally. This is why I'm so kind of nervous about getting my own original stuff out there on the internet, because I'm going to attract people like Chris, if not Chris himself. And that is going to be so much trouble for literally nothing. That this trouble will come out of nowhere for no reason, because some people cannot hack what I try to do. So anyway, let's get back to the story.
They're destined to be together, Chris. I mean, can't you see those undertones? I mean, that's where this whole comic is going. Even if a girl does dump him, what does it matter? He went after a girl. He didn't go after a boy. Like you said, Sonichu is his brother. I mean, why would he, even if he was gay, why would he go for his brother? That's
a good point.
That's just sick.
Yeah.
I mean, why would you think?
Okay. Well, listen. How about this? In your comics, when you in the future, or in re-referencing the past pages, the Sonichu that is Asperger's brother, you just refer to him as
So
Michael,
while Chris is going to keep rambling about this for a second.
The Angelica.
Here it is. Okay, so Dylan made this comic called The Drifting Edge, featuring some original characters from the team he works on, and this is what Chris had to say about this. So it was you who chronicled Omelette, Dylan, and Bowsette was already hard enough on us as Bowser's daughter. She's been a pain in all our sides along with all the other villains, yet she's more of a cunning nuisance. That's another chip on my shoulder against you. And friggin', as you would expect, people completely went off the rails again, because Chris getting onto people's cases about shit that does not concern him and is not important to him. Because in Chris's mind, all fictional characters are real, and they have to be addressed as such.
Krishna, etc., just like I said in my page.
But
and this can be Virtue's nickname.
But Chris, those aren't really their characters' names. They have the same names as your chaotic.
Yeah, okay, well, you see, when I gave the chaotic combo characters those names originally in my books, those would be their nicknames. They're all Sonichus and those shoes individually, but they're just of different types. He would without the nickname, he would be Grass Sonichu. Without the nickname, she would be Water Rose Chew, Flying Rose Chew, Fighting Sonichu, Sonic Sonichu.
I see. Okay. I understand what you're saying. Well, see, there's one of the differences though, because in my comic, those are really their names. I mean, Angelica, Punchy, Bubble.
No. You see, but those are actually their names in my book.
They're nicknames, you said. And in my comic, they're their actual names. That's the difference.
No, I'm talking in reference to the Pokemon game. If you want to name your Bulbasaur, they call it giving it a nickname, but really it's just giving them their name.
Chris, my characters aren't Pokemon, though. I don't draw Pokemon. That's not how it works in my comic.
You have been drawing Pokemon.
Fuck me,
You draw Pokemon.
I'm...
Pokemon.
Fuck me, I'm
I thought he was a Sonichu. I mean,
Sonichu
I thought that was like
electric hedgehog. I make it perfectly clear that Sonichu and Roschu are electric hedgehog Pokemon.
Oh, okay. Well, I think the point of confusion there is where they're like I've never seen any Pokeballs in your comic or trainers or any of those other Pokemon elements. You know,
Yeah, okay,
like shouldn't they live in Pokeballs?
Okay. Yes, there's a Pokeball that specially catches Sonichus and Roschu called the S-Chew Ball, and there is a reference to that within the book.
Sonichu lives in like a house, doesn't he? I mean, he lives like a person who's training.
He's just acting like a freaking little brat. Like guys, you remember Chris, who was in Sonic X, that annoying little kid? This is basically like what was that, like one of the last episode of like season 2 or something like that, where Chris basically shut off the teleporter to make sure that Sonic never got back to his home land of Mobius, and basically he just wanted Sonic all to himself. That's kind of like this, saying that no, that really happened because blah 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 blah. This just seems like nonsense for selfish reasons, because again, Chris did steal Sonic and Pikachu in the first place for this entire nonsense. Bionic, really, why didn't he just make the story about Bionic, about his actual like first creation of like a Sonic hybrid?
It was originally a wild Pokemon, the original Sonichu, but the original Roschu was originally the Raichu that was caught and trained by the Pokemon trainer Kelly, Kel for short.
I actually didn't know any of that, but I digress. The point is that Asperchu and my version of the Chaotic Combo, all those characters, those are not Pokemon in my comics. I mean, Pokemon don't exist in the world of Asperchu. Like Asperchu, you know, he lives with his grandparents in a house. I mean, he's a person.
Okay, all right, but still, it just makes it sound like my characters when you talk about these Sonichu from Quickville.
But they're not your characters. We've established that. They're not yours. I mean, they're my characters.
I have
it's original.
all
like
the
I said, my comic's not a parody.
Sonichu, and Roschu. I actually have paper registered copyrights on those, so I could sue you. But I'm trying to resolve this peacefully.
You have okay, so you have.
Yeah, look under the copyright section on the Wikipedia.
But you said Sonichu is a Pokemon, right? I mean, I'm pretty sure Nintendo has the copyright claims of Pokemon.
They do.
So.
Still,
I mean, it's a good point. I might want to just contact Nintendo just to make sure everything's okay. You know, to make sure I'm not stepping on their toes. But.
They have been contacted before, and everything's okay. So you don't need to do that.
But well, then, I mean, how can you hold the copyright to a Pokemon?
Virginia Library of Congress has allowed me.
Wouldn't it? Well, Virginia Library of Congress, you know, can't tell Nintendo what to do. I mean, they can't tell Nintendo to just hand over copyrights to their creations to just anybody.
True.
I mean, you know, Nintendo could take, you know, the Virginia Library of Congress to court and say, hey, wait a minute, you know, you issued this copyright.
Again, let me just give you guys a little bit more of a specific example of what Alex is talking about. This is something that I had to learn myself because of I think it's meant to be like in this, ladies and gentlemen. It's my version of the third edition of the Screenwriter's Bible, which contains some things about what happens in lore. So I think that's like a very specific point I wanted to make a point at this point. So I'll just see if I can find the thing about lore. Let's see. Write a screenplay part 5. So basically it's book 5 in this. Let's see. Book 3. Book 6. That's the index parts. Oh yeah, here it is. How to protect your work. Copyright. Keep in mind that there are certain things that cannot be protected by copyright. Ideas, historical facts, plots, titles, phrases, and anything not written down. Here's what you can protect. Your original expression of an idea or plot. In other words, your original spec script is the only thing you can protect. Now, technically, that's what it says if you're going to be writing stories like a screenplay, as it were, but... And the only way I think like Chris could like escape trouble on something like that is because Chris, if he doesn't have time to like write or lay out a comic properly, then what makes anybody convinced that he actually writes multiple scripts for his stories? So Chris, you can't really sue Chris as from a story perspective, but then again, he can't sue anyone else either because because I've read parts of Asperchu before. They don't really mention Sonichu, or if they do, they just categorize him by a name. They don't bring up that he's an Electric Hedgehog Pokemon, and I might have to go back and check on the copyright thing that Chris actually has for Sonichu, but I'm pretty sure there is nothing really Chris can do because Alec has not broken this has not made a copyright infringement anywhere. Because you have to remember, it was Chris that did that, not the other way around.
Okay, look, well, let's just, okay, this is what we're talking about right now.
Also, technically, if he wanted to, what Alec could do is just call his characters three-dimensional, because Chris has the rights to a 2D piece of artwork, not 3D.
It just seems pointless to what we were originally talking about. Let's just agree that...
Well, I don't think it's pointless. I mean, I'm just trying to establish that... I mean, you said you could sue me. I mean, I don't want to get sued. Nobody wants to get sued. But
yeah,
I just don't understand how you could sue me. That's what I'm confused on. I mean, you're confusing me, Chris.
Yeah, the death threats.
I mean, call me naive, but I just don't get exactly what you're getting at.
Okay, well, let's just rewind and go back to what we agreed on before,
Oh, boy.
Readjusting the advertisement size and giving the possible Wikipedia ad on the Asperpedia, and just like the Sonichu in your book, as Michael Sonichu, and the other Sonichus and Roshus that of the non-KI combo.
Okay.
Let's just rename them by the names I suggested in my book. In your book.
Well, all right. Like I said, I'll talk to Mao about the ads. As far as the renaming goes, I mean, I guess you can include, you can make up some characters, Mike Sonichu and Mitch Sonichu and whatever. That's your comic book. If you want to create those characters, that's fine. I mean, like I said, I'm not going to rename my characters.
All right. Well, listen, the battery power on my phone is running low, so perhaps we could talk again another time. Well, you take care.
I'd like to talk to you.
Later that day, Christian filmed a captain's log, which mostly focuses on the controversial Mitch Sonichu makeover in Sonichu issue 10, which had some readers asking if this meant that Mitch was a homosexual.
First off, I want to give a shout out to the Portland Sonichu fan club, their president Megan, and their vice president Brad, who did this song that's playing on in the background. So it's me on CD here. Thank you. And also to Becky, who's doing a paper on me as a modern cartoonist. I appreciate that. Thank you. Anyway, I stand strong. I continue to draw the pages. Yes, they will be uploaded bulk. I mean, if I can't get 5 in a single day, then I'll still, I'll get them up the next day. But at least I'm doing the average of 2 pages a day. I stand strong. Anyway, also the makeover I did, I just answered a new bunch of messages in the mailbag. You know what? Look, I say this. Think about like on Home and Garden, the Learning Channel, even on Discovery, and even on MTV. There's such home remodeling, cooking cuisine, and myth-busting shows, and even Pimp My Ride. And would you call the people on those shows homosexuals for giving something else or somebody else a makeover? No, you don't. So that myth is busted. And also, I still say what I said against Evan and those people on there.
The video abruptly ends, possibly due to the camera running out of power. He near immediately followed up with a short video to complete the captain's log.
Anyway, I'll leave y'all with that. And obviously the Asperpedia is going down because Alec and his crew are shooting themselves in the foot. I would never do blood and gore. That's just gross.
Yeah,
I mean,
sure.
if you're not queasy, then come back to science ship. Bye.
On January 25th, the Wallflower sent Chris an email listing her various websites, revealing herself to be an amateur writer. Christian admired her skill and wished for them to talk over the phone soon, wanting to exchange more information about each other and wishing to meet again soon. Your laughter and voice sweetly thrills my mind like robins twittering their song after the sunrise. In another email, Chris informed her of the details concerning their upcoming future date, in which they would go to a concert to see Celtic Woman, an Irish music act, and afterwards would spend some time at a nearby Taco Bell. He informed her that his mother would probably come with him to meet her and her own parental escort. The Wallflower thought this idea sounded nice. Chris then expressed his wish that they keep the option of a relationship open for when the right time comes. She then revealed that she was going to the concert with a friend of hers and offered to meet up some other time. All the while, Christian continued answering mailbags from fans, with uploads of new Sonichu pages becoming more spread out. In mailbag 46, he defended his tardiness in updating the comic. I have been drawing and coloring on a daily basis. I cannot help if I have a life to enjoy too. I have joined a young adult social group, and I have met a lovely woman there who likes me too. We are hitting it off like two hip wallflowers. You have a life too. Understand my needs, and let me have my life. Another letter highlighted the discovery that the name Christian Weston Chandler was an anagram for Antichrist Enhances World, and Devin Christopher George made another appearance telling him that he would take legal action if Simonla didn't die in Chris's story. I'm not gonna just let it go because you're not a great director. You're a comic artist, and you have to deal with legal issues involving your characters when they arise. You can't pretend a lawsuit isn't imminent and just hope it goes away if you ignore it. This is serious, and if you don't do something about this, I'll have to take some drastic measures. We're keeping track. In mailbag 49, when asked about whether then US President Barack Obama should repeal the Don't Ask, Don't Tell military policy concerning homosexuals to allow them more freedom and encouragement to join the army, Christian stated that the policy should be repealed so that more gay men could die in explosions. It was also around this time that he was linked to a fan forum called Sonichu Forum, where he conversed with presumed fans and answered their questions for about 4 days. On January 28th, Alec managed to get Chris to answer his phone to have another talk.
I would have expected to call at 9:30, but anyway...
I actually did try to call at 9:30. It didn't get an answer, so I thought I'd try again. You're kind of a difficult man to get a hold of, Chris.
Yeah. I can talk for a few minutes, so let's try not to belabor this conversation.
They discussed Chris's ongoing woes concerning ads on Wikipedia, copyright issues, and a problem Chris had with Alec's character being named after Asperger's syndrome.
Chris, we don't choose our names. I mean,
oh my God.
Our names are given to us. I mean, think of it this way. You know, the name Asperchu, if you think of that as a detriment, I don't, but if you interpret the comic that way, think of it as a personal, a sort of character flaw, if you will, that he has to work to overcome. And all good characters have character flaws. Sometimes characters don't always live the happiest lives in fiction, but that's part of what makes good fiction.
True.
Yeah. But still, I mean, with that, think about it. I mean, what if your parents had named you Asper? Because they were, like as if they could foretell you had Asperger. You would have Asperger's.
Okay, Chris, that's part of the, again, the character flaw. Asperchu has things weighing him down. He has curses, and that's part of what makes a good character. I mean, you wouldn't make a character that's just, all powerful and perfect in every way and has no real problems ever, would you? That'd be kind of boring. Complex characters have problems that they overcome.
I mean, as an individual, within his own world, outside of your control, Asperger would not want that name. He would be in agreement with me and probably want to change his name to something like Mitch. Right? Have you ever watched the movie Who Framed Roger Rabbit?
Yes, I have. It was a good movie.
Yeah, you got the whole toon world there, and within that, it would coincide with the comic book world, and every individual comic, published or unpublished, drawn all together. And within the world, actually would reside.
Aside from literally the bullshit Christmas spirit, how would they even be all together if they weren't even finished? I don't get that.
Your Asperger, that he would be with his individual thoughts, and she gave him an adult attitude. Within his individual thoughts, he would hate that having the name of Asperger because it emphasizes his mental problem. And he's like, in his process of wanting to move on from that and become more accessible in society, that he would not want a name that would make him feel like as if he's still living it, even after he's fully recovered from it.
You don't recover from autism.
Chris,
or Asperger's.
You know, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, that was still a movie, and everything in it was predetermined by the movie writers and the director. And I mean, there is no, like, alternate cartoon world in reality. I mean, cartoon characters don't actually think and feel things.
You obviously are naive about that because you're not understanding that possibility of that universe actually existing.
So you do believe that when an artist creates a cartoon character, that character actually becomes real? Is that what you're saying to me?
Oh, no.
Within that universe, yes.
But the universe is fake. I mean, the Asperger universe exists on paper and in my computer. It's whatever I write it to be. Here's a question for you. If you think a character would want, an appropriate name, a good name, not a name that, calls them out on something or sets them back, Sonichu is the name of a species, correct? Sonichus and Rosechus, those are a species, right?
Yeah, but he was the first original Sonichu, and she was the original Rosechu.
Wouldn't they still want their own name?
And they each came up with their name on their own. And they did not need a nickname to go with that.
Would you be comfortable if the name Christian Weston Chandler didn't exist, and you were just called man or person or something?
Okay, well, still, what if you actually conceived a child with your girlfriend or wife? Then, would you feel that you actually own that child, even after you had raised it from being a baby to, let's say, late teenage years, where that child would actually feel more like an individual, independent being?
Chris, you do understand that a child, a human being, is substantially more than a comic character, right? They're not the same thing. They're not even close. Of course I would name a child. Children are real, and children are not our property. I mean, if I had a child, I would give it all the love and support it needed, but it is its own person, or he or she, I should say. Whereas a comic character is it's whatever you draw on paper or in Photoshop.
What if she was on the other foot? What if Asperger created you?
Well, then I'd be a comic character myself, and I wouldn't have any thoughts or feelings. So that's a moot point.
You think that a comic character would not have their own thoughts and feelings?
No.
You are naive.
Chris, you have told me that you think that a comic character is fundamentally as much of a person as a real human being. That is the naive thought.
Oh no, he used the naive word. He used the N-word. Technically, Chris used the N-word as well, but Chris really, really does not like it when you call him naive.
No,
I'm the writer. I'm like the god of the Asperger world. I decide what goes on in Asperger's world. I decide who and what Asperger is and what he thinks and feels, if anything, which he doesn't because it's still just a character on paper. And when I put the pen down, Asperger stops being there. Nothing exists in Asperger's world that I haven't drawn.
Boy,
and it's naive to think that there's anything more. I think we should agree to disagree on this point, because we both have our own thoughts on that. I'm actually getting some letters about Sonichu, about why you're not updating daily, and I was kind of curious about that.
Well, for your information, I am updating daily. I draw a color 2 pages a day. I can't help it if I don't have access to my computer, or if I can't get to it right away. Besides which, my biological clock has been fickle on me. It's been making me fall asleep earlier.
Maybe we could get an alarm clock. I'm just kind of confused why I would spend an hour to draw a page, but not take the extra 60 seconds to upload it.
It takes more than 60 seconds to scan it and fit it in Photoshop, then upload it. Now, it probably would take half an hour for all that to work.
I didn't know that you did Photoshop work with your pages. What do you use Photoshop for, if I may ask?
To change it from handwritten text to more legible typed text.
If I remember right, I think kind of one of the criticisms you had about Asperture was that it was not completely, hand-drawn original, because I do use Photoshop in part of my creative process, but it sounds like you actually do kind of the same thing, which is, that's fine. I mean, digital media is where, the art world is going, but see, I thought that you drew it all on paper and then uploaded it.
Well, for your information, I did draw it all on paper. The only part that I edit in Photoshop is the text, what you read.
Well, it just seems a little hypocritical that you do use Photoshop in the creative process, but you criticize me for it. I mean, don't you think?
No, actually, what I thought is that you skip the hand drawing and you draw everything on your Photoshop with the computer mouse.
What I do, I use a tablet and I draw on that, and that's basically the same thing as pen and paper, except what I draw just goes right onto the computer screen. So I don't use a mouse. It's the same.
Okay, but still, it's crappy compared to mine. Even my mother agrees.
Oh, hey, come on. That's a little insulting, Chris. What do you mean crappy? I mean, my mother says that my comic is, the most beautiful comic she's ever seen too. But I kind of think that's just because she's a supportive mother. Mothers are supposed to support their children in their endeavors. I mean, it's okay to disagree. I'm curious why you think it's crappy.
Because it's computer drawn. It's not originally hand-drawn.
I just told you it is hand-drawn. It's hand-drawn on a tablet.
You don't have the old-fashioned original pencil or pen markings. That's what I have.
So because I don't have, smudge marks on my paper, is that what you mean? Okay, by comparison, could I say that our car is not, true original transportation because, people should be using old-fashioned horses? I mean, you use Photoshop for lettering and effects. We're one and the same here, Chris.
Alec then brings up the issue of Simonla.
And that Evan wanted me to talk to you about that, about using Simon Chu. Simon Chu was his creation, and he used that without permission. And he's asked you several times to get rid of Simon Chu and Simonla or whatever.
Yeah, but actually, Simonla was never really inspired from Simon Chu. I took an original Rose Chu, I changed her to a ground color, gave her the complexion, added an armadillo shell, and then a few drills in appropriate places.
Kind of like how I took a Sonic and made him yellow and gave him a goatee and glasses and a Buddha belly, and thus was born Asperchu. I mean, why didn't you just say that to Evan in the first place? Because he's been emailing you for a long time. Okay. Let's see. I'm looking at the Simonla page on your Wikipedia here. You say that about on or before August 26, 2008, I received an email from Evan George submitting his Sonichu fan art to me, then later submitted his idea for Simon Chu. It did not strike me as good at first, but for a few months I wanted to create a ground type. So from Simon Chu, I created Simonla Rose Chu. That's on the Simonla article on your Wikipedia. I mean, that's smoking gun, Chris. That's proof that you used Simon Chu as a base. I'm not trying to attack you with this, but I really think this is evidence that you should get rid of Simon Chu and Simonla. Write them out. Because the facts are right there, Chris. I want to let you know that you do need to comply with Evan's demands. Because, he's talking about litigation, and he said that he'd back off if you acknowledge in the comic and write Simon Chu and Simona out and, say that they will be done and gone forever? I mean, would you be willing to do that? Write them out?
I'll think about it.
Okay, well, don't think too long. I mean, this is a serious issue.
Anyway, I'm feeling tired right now.
Rose.
Okay, well, maybe I'll let you go. You have a good night, Chris.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
As another creator managed to converse about the creative process with Chris, his peculiar attachment to his characters was made crystal clear. Quickville had become more than a hobby, more than an ambitious dream of stardom, even more than a way to live out his fantasies. In Christian's mind, at least, it had become a tangible reality, inhabited by living, breathing cartoon characters. For as he had stated before, Chris was truly young at heart.
Yeah, but even most people that are usually young at heart do not want gay people to die in explosions. That's just straight up not a very how best can you say it? A very not a very normal thing for anyone to say. So anyway, guys, that was part 23. It was certainly a lot more I would say it was a little bit more interesting than last week, because yesterday's video was just straight up depressing. That when I talked about the futility of Chris's life for what it was meant to show. Here, however, we really sort of like, if it wasn't obvious, then maybe this is what the idea guys were watching from a distance and decided that, well, technically they had no idea, because I don't know whether or not like the audio was leaked well before the date of like 2016 or something like that. But I wonder if they knew this was how to attack Chris's weak spot. And unfortunately, with how this is spouted, it sort of like came. I still think at this point, this is where it. If this isn't at least where it started, this is what basically gave Chris the green light. The idea that all of his comic characters are real, and that the world he made was real, because he friggin' really, really takes it to heart when talking about Asperchu. How best was it put out that Chris is emotionally invested in this, because it's his greatest accomplishment. It's the only thing he has in his life that he's technically accomplished and will be remembered for. Sonichu is his legacy. It's also his life and blood, quite literally. And guys, can I just like make a very serious point about this just before we go? I alluded to earlier that I reckon if I was to face problems with releasing my original works to the internet or through Syndit publications, and I received this kind of attention, or if I received this type of thing from fans saying that, oh yes, it's good, but you see, you can't do that because these things actually existed in my story, so you can't really have that because I like chronicle all this stuff. You know, when the day comes when I do release my stuff, comic book form, script form, book form, and if Chris is even still around when the stuff goes out, and he tells me I can't, I was wrong about the things that I wrote in my own completely fictitious world, I'm just going to straight up tell Chris to just straight up just get lost and to mind his own business. It's not his work, it's my own. I'll just tell him to completely back off, and that's about as much as communication I would ever have with Chris, because what dictates Chris to have any sort of right to suddenly start saying that anyone could say these things about characters, real or unreal, when the entire premise of literally everything Chris has ever done was stolen by more credible and more deserving people. That's all I gotta say about that, but keeping things brief and blunt. If Chris ever gets in touch with me before or after I release my stuff, I'll make sure to tell him straight up exactly what's up, and then if he doesn't back away, I'll just cut all ties, block, just do everything, because listen guys, I'm not usually the sort of person to block or, you know, ban or report people. Well, mostly people like comment section, because listen, it's very easy to point out that those sort of people are trolls and those sort of people are looking to stir up trouble. So basically, the best thing to do is sort of like just don't respond in any which way. It also should, or I should also point out, and if this wasn't obvious already, that the best thing I think I could do is literally just leave it there, because listen, I'm an advocate for freedom of speech, kind of always have been, because I thought it kind of makes sense. However, I'm also a big advocate for the phrase, just because you can does not mean you should. And because I think that's true. I think that's completely valid and fair enough, because there are some things that people say that should have been better left unsaid. However, if trolls decided that is some of the things they want to write about should be presented there, then so be it. Let them suffer the consequences of their actions. It's what they've said, not what I've said, is what's going to get them into trouble. It's as simple as that, and I think we're done for another night, because it's like now, like literally like 11:30 at night. I'm due for a good night's rest. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this reaction video to part 23. Please make sure to leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section down below, and let me know what you guys thought of part 23 for yourselves. And I hope to see all of you guys again in the next video. Take care. Bye-bye for now.